Well, good evening, friends, and welcome to the third annual Vintage Snowmobile Event podcast. This is a podcast where we take a look at upcoming events that are happening either in late summer or early autumn. And we've got some friends on. We've got four friends on, and we've got a fifth friend who's trying to get on. He's struggling with his connection. Hopefully, he'll be able to get on here and join the party. But let's get the party started. We've got from top to bottom here on the right. We've got Josh Leviker. We've got Dan Beauchamp. We've got Midge Rosebrook and Ray Lacasse. Also trying to get on is Bud Gordon. And the format that we're going to do tonight, we're going to give each person a chance to talk about their event. We're going to go around the circle. Each person will talk about their event, just kind of the quick version for about 1 minute. And once everyone's had a turn, we'll do a longer version, maybe like a 5 to 10 minute version, go around the circle again. And we're going to have Josh go first. If you're ready, Josh, I'm going to put you full screen and there we go. And I've got your graphics that you sent me. So as you're ready for those, just call for them and I'll pull them up.
Yeah. Again, it's nice to see everybody, and it's a hot one here in New York. It's you had rain, tornadoes, and now we're in the 90-degree heat, and it was a hot one today. So I do apologize. After my little episode here this evening, I'll have to leave as I do road construction, so I got a early morning tomorrow. So 4 a.m. comes awful early this time of year. So, but yeah, so this will be our fourth annual Turin, Northern New York Vintage Snowmobile Show and Swap. Labor Day weekend, August 31st, behind the Turin Fire Hall at the Turin Park, and the event's growing every year, and as long as we have good weather, it'll be another good turnout. So I believe total of 27 classes, and best in show, people's choice, and fireman's choice. So this year the trophies for best in show is a 6-foot trophy, and then people's choice and fireman's choice will be a 5-foot trophy. So. It's a good swap meet, and there's a lot of nice iron that comes from Canada and the New England area. Last year we had 225 that were registered in the show that participated, and probably another 50 or so on display. And that whole section there in the grass area, that was the vendor area. So we had about 30 to 40 vendors. It was a good turnout.
Nice. And here are some close-ups of some of the exhibitors.
And that was best in show, that 3-cylinder King Cat, and that's what's represented on the back of the shirt for this year.
Oh yeah, something like this.
Yep. So what I usually do is what we have been doing is best in show is the sled featured on the following year's t-shirt.
Oh, yes. Good idea. Good idea. Well, cool. So we're going to give you a chance to do more of a 5 to 10 minute version of what you have to offer here. But I'm going to give the others a chance to go just to do kind of a quick 1 minute version, and then we'll circle around again for a longer version. Next up, we've got our good friend Dan Beauchamp.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're all well. And it's pretty funny because I was talking to Kyle Roberts this week. He's got the Ski-Doo dealership in Saranac, New York, and he was telling me that he's pretty anxious to see the snow come down. But anyway, what a contrast from today till I guess the winter time. Anyway, our show is on the 24th of August. It's a Saturday. It's a one-day thing. It's in Ormstown, Quebec. Ormstown is approximately, I would say, maybe 25, 30 miles away from Malone, New York. Chateauguay, New York would be about maybe, I would say 30, more like 20, 25 miles. And that's our poster this year. We have 11 categories. We go from original pre-1970, and then we go for the different years. And then we have best race sled, and also we have best snowmobile collection. At the same time, I wanted to say that you have the I think it's called a barcode on the poster itself. And if you look at it or you scan it, you'll see a video that my nephew made of our show last year. Also, you can go on Vintage Snowmobile Club of the Adirondacks and see all the pictures of our show from last year, as well as other stuff that I posted since. I guess my minute is up. We'll talk a little longer in a few minutes. Thank you.
Sounds good. Appreciate that. Next up, we've got our good friend Midge Rosebrook.
Yeah, folks, we've got another Hall of Fame, Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame induction coming up this fall on September 7th at the museum. It's going to start about 1:30. And we're inducting Lanny Benoit, Kathy Nedrow, Keith Armstrong, Robert Schwartz, who was a big promoter in New York. Maybe you New York guys can remember. He sponsored, he had the Nero equipment and sponsored some of the big name snowmobile races out of New York. And William Bucky Buckland from Lancaster brings up our 5th inductee for this year. So, yeah, if you guys want to stop by this fall, it's a week after the Lancaster Fair, and talk to some of the early snowmobile racers that we have on the wall now. A lot of them guys come back every year. It's almost like Mike and I said, it's like a family reunion.
Yes.
And we've lost a few. So it may be, a chance to see these guys before they pass away.
Oh, for sure.
That's it for me.
Well, cool. So next up, we've got Ray Lacasse. How you doing tonight, Ray?
I'm doing good, Mike. How are you? How are you doing?
Doing well.
Good, good. So yeah, we've got our show going on September 21st. It's a Saturday, and it's going to be in Pittsburgh, New Hampshire again, right at Murphy Dam. Hopefully we don't have a hurricane come through like we did last year, but we still had a pretty good turnout, so we're looking forward to it. We're actually incorporating mini bikes into it too. Bud Gordon turned me on to a guy that was at our show last year, Gary Shaffey, who brought some mini bikes, and it drew a lot of attention. And I just think it's kind of neat, and going to incorporate all that. We're going to have some classes for that. We're still in the process of putting the classes together, which should happen probably in the next week or two. So we're really looking forward to this, and hopefully we get a good weekend. We had a lot of people last year that didn't show up. They called people that were up here as it was going on, wondering what the weather was, because it was terrible below us, and we got a little bit of wind, but it was pretty good. So we're pretty excited. We get Midge. He usually, I'm hoping, hopefully he'll come up again this year and judge. He does a great job, and I don't think there's anybody any more impartial than him. It's great to have somebody with the knowledge that he has also. And hopefully maybe, Mike, you could make it over this year.
I'm sure going to try. Every year something seems to come up, but this year I really want to get there.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So I think that's my minute right there.
Excellent. Excellent. So we're going to go around the circle one more time, but this will be more of a long form presentation. So I'm going to put Josh back up. And Josh, we've got those images that you sent us. Plus I've got a video clip. When you're ready to play that, I can play that video clip for you.
Okay. If you want to start with the video clip, Mike,
sure.
Go ahead. We can play that, and it'll jog my memory from the video clip.
Absolutely. The nice thing too, this clip is silent. So if you have any comments you want to make as it's going, let me know, and I can also pause it at any point for a closer look if you wanted to do that. Let's take a look. It's just taking a moment to load here, and here it is. And again, this is silent. There's no audio with this, so if you feel like you'd like to comment on anything, feel free to talk it up as it's going.
Yep. So that was our last year's show. That was a snow job, they called it, with the kits for it. Those are Zeke Brown's. He does a porter style sled, and that's Mark Vachon.
Marco
He's from
Vachon.
Yep,
Yeah.
he's from Canada. That was a kitty cat that we raffled off that year. Todd LaGrange's Rups. He brings about 3 trailers full. He's got some
Wow.
nice pieces. And Herb's Moto Ski.
The legendary Herb Yancey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we've been fortunate, knock on wood. We've had great weather for the event, and that's key.
Yes. And this is Labor Day weekend, you say, in Tour
Yes,
in
it
New
is.
York.
That'll be August 31st this year. That's my EXT. That took many years.
Yes.
Another shot of Zeke Brown's cat sleds. It was mine and my father-in-law's Tiger. Joe Clark, he comes down normally. He has the Porter style replicas. Yeah, last year we had a bunch of other individuals come down from Canada. I mean, the grounds were packed. We normally have 20 to 30 people that stay the evening, Friday evening, just so they have a good front row parking spot. And all the proceeds we split between the Turn Ridge Riders, our local snowmobile club, and the Turn Fire Department. So it's a good fundraiser for both, and we have two food vendors there. We have live music, and the day goes by fast, as anyone knows who's been part of a show, putting one together. I mean, the preparation, everything you go into it, and before you know it, it's the day's over.
It does. It flies by.
It's fun, and you get to meet a lot of great people. And unfortunately, if people that are watching the show here, if I don't get a chance to speak to you at the show, it's just because I'm just running around and you're getting pulled in 1,000 directions on the grounds.
It's nonstop. Yeah.
But yeah, this year it's August 31st, and if somebody wants to stop in, Friday evening and set up, just my name's there. Ed Stab helps with the show. He's great in helping assist it. And again, we had 225 registered last year. And I think this will be the 4th year, and every year we've done it. I think I've only had 1 or 2 trophies left over out of 90 some. So it's
Wow.
It's which I'm glad. There's a lot of participants, and I'm thankful that I'm not bringing the hardware back home to my garage and just putting it upstairs.
Yeah.
And this year we do a raffle sled for the club, and
Oh, that's
we
right.
always
Let me
have
get
it at
that.
the show. Yep. So this year it's a 1994 Thundercat 900, all original, right around I think 2,200 miles, and it's a very clean, straight sled, and little TLC I put into it, and sad to see it go, but it's actually a true unmolested stock, mid 90 muscle sled.
Very, very cool.
So we'll have that on display, and tickets will be available.
And again, here is the graphic if anyone is interested with the details. So Tour in New York, Saturday, August 31st, Labor Day weekend. It's going to be a great show. And then here are the different categories. 8 till 2. Awards are at 2, I should say.
Yep.
And there's some phone numbers there on the bottom in case anyone has any questions.
Yeah, usually the loudest sled is very, very fun. We usually have anywhere from 6 to 9, and Tremblay from Canada. He comes down with that Hearth honker, that boa ski with the triple pipes that come out of the hood. And the last 2 years, he's won right around 180 decibels. So it's
Wow.
I don't see anything. If he brings that again, I don't see anything beating that sled for the loudest sled class. But
No doubt.
if you
Wow.
got something to compete, bring it down. It's always a fun time. But I don't know how someone could even drive that sled on snow. But he does. But he's got some thick earmuffs.
Yeah, he would need that for sure. Crazy. So, any final comments, Josh, on your show? Or
No, it's just summer. It feels like winter just ended. Actually, summer's beyond the midpoint now. We're coming into the downhill stretch, I feel, and the show will be here before you know it. But this year, it's we've upped the style of trophies, and again, the best in show will be a 6 foot 4-piece column trophy. So,
wow,
great show. And really it's the vendors that come, the swappers, 30, 40 people, live music, and we got 2 food trucks, and we'll have a 50-50, and our local church will be there doing a fundraiser as well. So it's a good thing for the community and the area, and it's really the first fall show to kind of to kick off the season. And it's nice to see everybody together, and we're all getting older as well, so it's nice to see everyone.
it's true. Now we've got Bud Gordon trying to come in. We've got him in with audio only. That may be as close as we get tonight. But can you hear us, Bud? I want to just see if we've got a connection with him.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. So at least we've got you for audio. It's not perfect,
Right.
but at least we've got that.
Right. Sorry
if you
about that. I don't know what's going on here. I've been working at it since 7:45 trying to get on here, and for some reason my computer won't let me on. I just clicked on the allow button again, and I did get the sound, but I can't get the picture.
Wow.
I guess you can see me, Mike, but the others can't.
Well, I can see that you're on. There's just a black screen, but we do have good audio on you, so at least we've got that.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is once
Sorry
Josh
about that, guys.
that's all right. Once Josh is finished, we're going to give you a chance to talk about your event. I've also
Okay.
got a couple events that I forgot to mention on the first go round, but it'll only take me a minute to go through those. But was there anything else, Josh? Or
No, that's pretty much it. If anyone has any questions, feel free to call, text, find me on Messenger. And by all means, if you got something to bring it. There's plenty of classes for it. And, just love seeing new faces to the shows, and you never know what you might find. When I thought I've seen them all, there's some oddballs that show up.
yes,
I haven't even, you've heard of, never seen, but,
yes.
all
Cool.
that I have.
Well, great. We appreciate it, Josh. And before we get to Bud, I want to do just a quick thing. When we were going the first go around, I forgot to mention a couple of events. So I'm just going to give them a quick shout out real quick and pop the graphic up. This is the Tupper Lake Vintage Snowmobile Show and Swap event that's coming up Saturday, September 21st. Tupper Lake, New York. All the details are on the screen there, including a phone number in case you'd like to reach out to them for details. This information comes courtesy of our good friend Reese Fleury. He couldn't make it on here tonight. In fact, let me pop his comment that he made. He was saying, "Good evening, all. Sorry I couldn't be on tonight, but he did send a graphic, and we're popping that graphic for him." Also, our good friend out in Minnesota, Mike Mahar with the Vintage Snowmobile Club of America. They're having a big event. Let me get close to the screen here so I can get the information. August 2nd and 4th. That's coming right up. And that's going to be in Duluth, Minnesota. And if you go to 2024nationalshow.com, that will take you to a website where you can see some detail about that. There's also a phone number on your screen. Do not hesitate to reach out to them if you're curious about that show. Well, that was all I had. I'm going to put Bud Gordon on, and I have your graphics for you, Bud, which
right.
I'm going to have rolling while you're talking up your show. We won't be able to see Bud, but yeah, Bud, please tell us about your show.
Okay. I don't see the graphics. Are they up?
Not yet.
Okay.
Here we go. Right
There
here.
we go. Okay. This is the Uncanonic Mountaineers of Goffstown Snowmobile Club's annual snowmobile and mini bike show and swap meet. This was from 2023, I believe, was last year. This is Doug Vadney display. He's got several Polarises and the Skidoo tow sled there. And we typically have around 60 plus snowmobiles. It's not a big show, but we try to do quality. Around 20 mini bikes, and everybody that comes, we've got a lot of faithfuls that come every year. They love the show. Last year we had 60 trophies we gave out, and if anybody's interested in sponsoring a trophy, I'll do a plug on that. It's $50 per trophy to sponsor. Your name goes on the trophy, and all the proceeds go to the Goffstown Snowmobile Club for this. So we've got when you get it up, Mike, if you could put up the flyer that I sent you.
Oh, yes.
I can go over that a little bit.
Where was that? Here we go. Yes, this is some of your other events too.
Okay, this is the calendar of events for the Snowmobile Museum. I could go over that real quick while
because I don't see that flyer, unfortunately. This is as
Oh,
good
I
as it
think you
gets.
had the file from the mini bike show. You said you still had it.
Oh, all right. Well, while you're talking, I'll see if I can find it.
Okay. Well, the first thing we've got coming up at the museum is the fall swap on on September 14th. Not too far away. It is a power sports swap meet, not just snowmobiles. Everything is in welcome. Snowmobiles, ATVs, motorcycles, whatever you've got. We welcome it. The Uncanonic Mountaineers of Goffstown will be doing the food concession for us again this fall. The next up we will have a vintage snowmobile display at the Grass Drags in Epping, New Hampshire. We look for around 20 to 25 sleds by private owners to be displayed in this tent. Plus, we bring in some of the museum sleds for display. We set up our raffle sled and sell the tickets for it. We have our museum clothing and memorabilia and stuff set up on a table for sale. So if you're interested in the Grass Drags, it's actually Fremont, New Hampshire. Everybody calls it Epping, but it's actually in Fremont. We will be there October 11th through the 13th. It's a 3-day event. The NHSA puts the event on, the New Hampshire Snowmobile Association, and they have a very big swap meet there at the right next to the museum's tent. So it's well worth checking out. Plus, they have Grass Drags and snowmobile water crossing. There's a freestyle event going on. So if you've got the time to get over and check it out, well worth it. Coming up next year, we've got our Bear Notch Vintage Snowmobile Ride on Sunday, January 19th. We meet at the parking lot on Bear Notch Road in Bartlett, New Hampshire. And we ride for a few hours. We ride up Bear Notch Road, and there are some outlying trails. There's about 60 miles worth of trails in that system. We do a quick stop at lunch for a lunch at a local restaurant and get back on the trail. Everybody seems to really enjoy this ride. And this year it was the only ride we were able to actually pull off. Bear Notch seems to be in a snow belt where they always have snow. Next up is our winter rally on February 16th. That's on a Sunday also. This year's feature is vintage snowmobile clothing. So we don't have a feature sled. What we're trying to get people to do is dress up in their favorite vintage clothing to match their snowmobiles. And we'll be voting on that. This, by the way, is our 40th annual rally. After
That's
that,
impressive.
we've got coming up the Franconia Notch Vintage Ride, which is in Franconia, New Hampshire. Same as the Bear Notch ride. You know, we get together, we meet at the Whale's Tail parking lot, and we have about a 26-mile trail that we ride, the bike path through Franconia. We ride up and back, and we try to have a cookout with that one. So, and then following that, we're into our next spring swap, which is on June 7th, and, you know, continuing on.
Nice. So. Nice. And here are some shots from the Goffstown show.
That is David Stroud's. And there's, I heard Midge talking about Gary Chafee's mini bikes. That was Gary that you just flashed by.
Yes.
And he's a mini bike collector, has been for years. He was the one that helped me get the mini bike started in the Goffstown show. Him and I had a couple of CT70s, and 1 year at the snowmobile show, he said, you know, we ought to bring our 70s down and put them on display just for the heck of it. And they were so well received that we decided to start doing awards and have a show as well, you know, the mini bike show as well as the snowmobiles. And it's turned out very well. We've a lot of people excited about that. We've got a couple guys that actually ride their bikes in. One of them, a young man, has a 90cc, I think it is, Honda Express. He drives 60 miles to get to the show on that Honda Express.
Wow.
So another local guy has a, I forget what that one is called. It's another older bike. I'm blanking on the name of it, but he's fairly local to Goffstown, and he rides it in too. So
nice. And then here's a graphic for the museum as well, in case someone is wanting to get in touch. There's a website at the bottom of there and a phone number. And that's how you get in touch with you, because it's all of these events we've been talking about are put on by the museum, correct?
Okay. Yes. And on that, Mike, the number you had on that last one up, that's an old number. If you flash to the next one that you had, that's the new correct number.
That's the current number.
For about 4 years now.
Good
I don't know where that old one came up from.
Gotcha. And that's an old graphic, so that explains that.
Yeah, that would explain it.
I'm glad
but
you
all
caught
you have
that.
to do is go on our website, and any of our events for the museum are on the homepage. And as we get closer, we start posting them in the ads in the events section. I had talked to Ray Lacasse a couple years ago about doing an events page on our website, and we have been working at it, but unfortunately our web host just can't seem to get the thing to work as user friendly. So we're not giving up on it. We want to make it work. We're looking for a new web host to take over, and hopefully we can come up with something that will be user friendly. And, you know, as Ray and I had talked last year, we want to make this so anyone in the country, specifically the Northeast, can get on there and post their events. And this way, nobody's stepping on each other's toes with the dates. You know, all work together. And but if you go on the museum website, nhsnowmobilemuseum.com, like I said, our events are right on the homepage. And if you click on the ads, a lot of people are putting their events in the ad section. So they are on there anyway.
Good. Well, cool. Any final thoughts, Bud, before we move on to the next? Or
I pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover there. Do you have any questions for me, anybody?
Actually, there's our good friend. We were on his mini bike podcast just a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, Ben. How you doing, Ben?
From the Mini Bike Lovers, Vintage Mini Bike Lovers. He says, "Good evening, guys. The Goffstown show looks great. Hope I can make it. If it's not a conflict in my schedule, I'll be reaching out to Gary about featuring his bikes on the Vintage Mini Bike Lovers podcast."
Excellent.
Cool deal. But well, cool. Yeah, we appreciate that, Bud. And it looks like we just lost him, but I'm glad we were able to get that presentation. Let's continue on. Pardon me, Ray. Would you like to go next?
Sure. So,
Excellent.
yeah, again, our show is going to be September 21st this year, and we are going to incorporate the mini bikes. We're going to have some classes, a few trophies, It's nowhere near, the show that Josh puts on, but we're hoping this year, if the weather's good, that we're going to have 60 plus, sleds and bikes, and it's a swap meet also. So please bring, the vendors can come in and set up. We've got that. We're going to be doing raffles, 50-50 drawing. We're going to be getting gifts from different places up here in Pittsburgh and the surrounding areas that's going to be going on. That was a sled that won Best of Show last year from up in Canada. I apologize, I can't remember the guy's name, but that's probably one of the most beautiful skidoos I've ever seen in my life. Just absolutely beautiful. And we're looking forward to it. So all the money, all the proceeds is going to the Pittsburgh Ridge Runners to help them, which they desperately need here. With all the rain that we've had a lot of trails and bridges and stuff washed out. I mean, we're talking probably over $1 million worth of damage to trails up here. It was horrendous. So we're trying everything we can to try to help them out, get some of these things going, because we're going to lose a lot of trails this winter if we don't get this stuff going. So we're doing everything we can to help them. These shows help as much as possibly can. And hopefully we see people bring more mini bikes and stuff up and snowmobiles, and hopefully maybe some 3-wheelers and stuff too. Some unique stuff that I haven't been around for a long time.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see like an old tri-sport or something.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's pretty much it. I don't know what else. If anybody's got any questions, I'd be more than glad to answer.
Anyone have questions for him?
Well,
And I have a quick video clip from, I think it's 2 years ago, the 2022 show. Let me roll that and we'll take a quick look at that.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Sure. Very cool. That looks like a lot
Yeah,
of
that was
fun.
cool.
And I saw a lot of-
It was a good event, and hopefully we're going to have a good turnout. The first year, this is our third event. The first year, the weather was absolutely perfect.
Excellent.
Last year was a little tough, but hopefully we get through it and we have a good year this year. And just to plug too, I wanted to mention our vintage snowmobile ride this next winter will be March 7th up in Pittsburgh. Hopefully we have snow. Last year we had to cancel. It's the first time we've ever had to cancel. We basically had about a 4-week season up here last year, which is unheard of. We usually have 12 to 16 weeks of snowmobiling up here, and last year was just absolutely horrible, and we couldn't do our ride, which was such a bummer because it's so beautiful up here. I think Midge will tell you he's been on a couple of them, and I think it's one of the prettiest areas in North America to ride.
Ray and I did the notch ride a couple of times too, didn't we, Ray?
We did.
And,
Yeah. Hopefully we could do that this year.
Yeah.
The weather's kind of messed us up on that too.
I never even started my machine.
Yeah. No.
Last year. That was rough.
Yep. No, I didn't get mine on the trail last year. I had it started here, ran it in the yard a couple of times, and that was it. All done.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
bad.
So, yep.
So
Betty,
I'm going
you're
to put
coming.
going to put that graphic on the screen here one last time. I'm also behind on my comments, so let me pull those up real quick. Our good friend Ben Thomas is saying, "Good evening, fellas. I'm going to try to make Ray's show if it doesn't conflict with his schedule." So that's cool. I think he
Awesome.
wants to see those mini bikes. I think he's looking forward to that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Also, he's saying North Shore Vintage Sleds will be at the Turin show. These guys are from upstate New York, by the way. And he's talking now about the Turin show. It says full walk around of last year's Turin show on his YouTube channel. Planning on doing a walk around at this year's show as well. And I hope that he will share that. Actually, that's Ben's son that does that channel. And I'm hoping that he'll share that footage with us so we can all enjoy that. Oh, and actually, apparently, upon a closer inspection, he says Ray's show is unfortunately the same week as the Tupper Lake show, so it's not looking good for that, unfortunately. But I'm going to try to go and get some footage there of the mini bikes that we can use on the Mini Bike podcast. Also, Dana Fortin says, "I'll take the Rupp Rebel, please." It looks like it's going to be he said it'd be a good ice fishing sled. Yeah, you'd be the talk of the lake if you showed up ice fishing with that for sure. Well, cool. So, Midge, would you like to go next?
Sure, Mike. The Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame is going to have another induction this year. I'd like to put a plug in, too, for Mike Meeher, who was right on board with this thing back in 2017, our first year. I got a hold of Mike on his magazine here. That's Vintage Snowmobile Visca, Vintage Snowmobile
Club of America.
It's
It's their quarterly
Vintage
publication.
Snowmobile Club of America, and it's a Midwest publication, but he was right on board with us Easton guys, and he's been publishing our Hall of Fame inductees ever since. And this is the newest one, and he's showing all of the inductees and their race records in his magazine. And that's Lanny Benoit. And his, let's see if I can get it in here so you can see it better. Can't really get it decent. Kathy Nedrow, lady racer from New York. Here's Keith Armstrong. Really can't see it too well, but it's too bad. Here's Robert Schwartz is the promoter. He promoted the Widowmakers racing team out in New York, Nero Equipment. Big promoter. And I know Ray knows this guy, Bill Buckland.
Yep.
Bucky, was probably one of the very first superstars in snowmobile racing here in the East. He raced back in 1962, one of the very early sled races. He raced with Bruce Dunham, Bob Fortin, and some of the very early Tim White, some of the very early names. And he was one of the best. And I got to tell you, too, 4 of these drivers and the promoter were reached by Bruce Borovage, who just passed away. Bruce is also in the Hall of Fame, and he was instrumental in getting these people on board because he raced with them, he knew them, they knew him, and we're going to miss Bruce terribly, not only as a person, a friend, but also as someone who knew racing and knew the people that were involved in racing. And we couldn't have gotten probably 2/3 of the people on that wall were gotten by Bruce Borovage. Like I say, these 5 people that we've got this year, the only one I did was Bucky, because I knew Bucky. Bucky was a good friend of mine. So I did Bucky's resume and got his photo, and Bruce did the rest. And Bruce also did all of the 2025 inductees, which we will announce at a later date. So just like to mention Bruce. We're going to miss him. And there's another black band that's got to go on a plaque on the wall. And like I said before, there's these guys are not getting any younger, and we're going to start losing them. So if you get a chance to come to the induction on September 7th at the museum and meet some of these pioneer racers of the sport, I think you'd enjoy yourself. So, yeah.
And if you're coming from any distance and thinking about a place to stay, there's no better choice than our good friends at the Lancaster Motel.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I think you had a slide about Bob Clark. Did you want to make a few comments about Bob Clark?
Yeah, Bob Clark, who passed away last year. His wife, Muriel, called us up, and she wanted to know what to do with Bob's trophies. Bob did race some, but he was more well known as a promoter, race team manager. He won Team Manager of the Year in 1971 for bringing more Polaris snowmobiles to the World Series, or more sleds to the World Series than anyone else. And they did some winning over there too in 71 under Bob's leadership. And Bob was a promoter his whole life, promoter of snowmobiles his whole life, since 1962 when he was working for Timberland Machines. Then he was a manager for Roberts Racing Team, Roberts Motors, who sold Chevrolet here in town. They also sold Skidoo. And Bob was the head of the team there. He was a Grand Prix chairman for a number of years. He and Mike Beatty used to swap off chairmanship duties, and Butch Roberts as well. And we inducted Bob. In fact, Bob Clark was the first person to go on the wall at the museum, because we do it alphabetical order and last name being Clark. He was actually he was the first person. The funny thing too, Bob did not want me to call this Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. He wanted me to call it just Eastern Snowmobile Hall of Fame. I says, it's about racing, Bob. Well, yeah, but he says, what about promoters? Because couldn't get it through Bob's head. If you're a promoter and you promote racing, then you can be included. Well, he didn't want it called Racing Hall of Fame. So, but we did anyway. And Paul Crane and I did anyway. So at the induction, Bob had no idea we were going to induct him. And Bob says, where do I want to sit? And I says, why don't you sit next to Bob Martin? Bob was being inducted. I said, just sit next to Bob there. You'll be fine. He and Muriel sat down, and I told this story. And I said, to prove that the Racing Hall of Fame here is going to induct promoters, the first person going on the wall is a promoter. I said, Mr. Bob Clark, will you please come forward? He stood up. He came over and he looked at me and he says, I got to have a word with you, boy. So, yeah. Anyway, Bob was a good friend. We lost Bob last year. We lost Bruce Dunham last year. And these, like I say, these guys are not getting any older, any younger, rather. And they're in their 80s now, most of them. And out of the original 4 was Bob Clark, Bruce Dunham, Bob Martin, Conrad Rollins. The only one person left now of the original 4 is Bob Martin.
Wow.
So
The clock is ticking.
and Bob's health is not that great, but he's hanging in there. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. But I was brought up with these guys: Bob Fortin, Bob Martin, Tim White, Mike Miatti, all those guys.
Yep.
And Bill Buckland. And Ray can tell you they hung around Dick's garage all the time. They were there most of the time. So
Sure.
this is really close to me. And so, yeah, if you guys want to stop by and watch these guys be inducted, we've got a lot of New York people here on the wall, New Hampshire, Maine, and Massachusetts. We're trying to cover the tri-state area here and New York. And ladies, we've got some ladies on the wall. And Mike is always there. He does the videoing for us and the editing, and we can't do it with another. Here's a plug for Mike Lupp here. You ain't gonna find a better guy in the world as far as these snowmobile things go. Look what he's doing tonight for you guys. I mean, it's crazy how good this guy is. And he does everything for the Hall of Fame for nothing. He doesn't charge us a nickel. So, yeah. So I guess I'm done with that. And thank you very much, Mike, for doing this for us.
Well, thank you. And thank you for the kind words. It's a labor of love and a very worthy cause. And I'm more than happy to do it. And you've done a lot for me as well. You and I have collaborated on a whole lot of things. I couldn't ask for a better collaborative partner or a friend or any of that. It's just, it's been a wonderful time. And I do have some comments that have come in. Wisconsin truck driver, enjoy the journey. That's his handle. He's wanting to know where this is. And I'm going to pop a graphic here in a minute. We're talking about the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame annual induction ceremony that takes place at Cranes Snowmobile Museum in Lancaster, New Hampshire. I'm going to pop a graphic here in a moment. He's asking some other questions about it. Wanting to know if they take race sleds to the museum. Sometimes they do. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they'll bring them in on a trailer, and it's a great place to show them off. Mm-hmm. And here we go. Here's another nice compliment. Ben from Vintage Mini Bike Lovers says, agreed, 3 cheers for Mike. Well,
absolutely.
Thank you. You guys are embarrassing me here, but I appreciate it. Cool deal. So now that I've changed screens here, here's the graphic for the Hall of Fame induction ceremony one more time. Again, that's Lancaster, New Hampshire at Cranes Snowmobile Museum. I've got a graphic for that as well for Cranes. That's worth a look any time of year. But we thank you so much for that.
Here's a classic shirt, the first shirt that we sold right here. This is we don't have any more. This is the last one. So I thought I'd wear it tonight.
Yes.
And
it looks good.
So anyway, it's a good time. It's like a family reunion with these guys.
It really is. And that's always my takeaway with it that I'm really impressed with. I mean, it's wonderful to see the ceremony, to get to know the inductees, see all of that happening. But the thing that's kind of taken on a life of its own is the community around this whole Eastern
Yeah.
Snowmobile Hall of Fame experience. People come every year just for the community to see each other and have that kind of a family reunion experience for the Eastern Snowmobile racing community. It's wonderful. I look forward to it every year, and I'm sure everyone else does. And there's just so many smiles and laughs, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful time.
Yeah.
And if you want to get a chance to meet some of these legendary Eastern racers, it's a very informal event. You can walk around and hang out with them, ask them questions,
And it's
get
free.
a photo taken. Yes, it's free.
Yeah.
Get a photo taken with them, visit with them.
The museum is free. Everything's free. So
Yes.
just bring a chair, bring a folding chair,
Yeah.
pair of sunglasses. Enjoy the day.
Yes. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much, Midge. And now it's Dan Beauchamp's turn. Let me put you full screen here, Dan. And Dan is going to talk to us about an event that he is involved with.
Mike, I'd like to also thank you for helping us all out. It's very much appreciated. Again, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
So our show is in Ormstown, Quebec. Again, it's on the 24th of August. And it's a very unique show in a beautiful country setting. Despite the fact that it says on the poster that it starts at 8, people can arrive in the afternoon, Friday. There's a camping area if you want, or you can stay where your snowmobiles are. You can camp there as well. And we were expecting about 250 sleds last year, but the weather wasn't that great. They were forecasting rain, and about 175 machines were there at the show. And we were very fortunate because what happened was, although they forecast rain for Ormstown, it rained all around Ormstown, and we had maybe 10 minutes of rain actually. So hopefully this year we'll have more sleds. We had about 175 last year, and when I say unique, we have quality stuff. Like in 2016, we had the Bosscat 2. Following year, we had the Bosscat 3. And then we had, in 2019, the X2R. Bill Fullerton brought the X2R. In 2021, Bill he wasn't able to make it, but he sent the Profile. And in 2022, we had the ski rules, the IFS race sleds that were owned by Gilles and Jacques. They're coming back this year. The warnings are bringing them back. People have asked, they said, look, they were absolutely beautiful machines. We'd like to see them again. I asked Brad and he said, sure, I'll bring them out. So they're coming back. And by the way, those sleds in 1975, Gilles, I think it was in Lancaster, New Hampshire, Gilles just wiped up all the races with that.
He did.
Sled. And so, I mean, that's history right there. Those are, unique snowmobiles. This year, they're coming back. This year also, BRP fabricated 2 replicas of the 1974 twin track, Alouette twin track that was designed and fabricated by both Gilles Villeneuve as well as Morley Smith. Morley Smith passed away 2 years ago. We had talking about Morley on previous podcasts. Anyway, so BRP has accepted to bring one of the replicas of that twin track. I can't disclose tonight the reason why they were made. I'm involved in something, but anyway, one of them will be there in Ormstown. And
would you like me to pull up that graphic that we had earlier?
Yeah. So BRP is also holding an event I believe it's in February. I guess I don't have the. It says February in French, but I don't see the date. Anyway, I can pull it up. But anyway, so what they're doing is they're also going to have the twin track that they fabricated, or both, and they'll be racing against Bombardier twin tracks as well. So that's an event that's going to happen in February in Valcourt, Quebec. So I use that picture to show you the twin track that they fabricated.
Yeah.
So, I mean, pretty unique. I mean, when will you be able to see a snowmobile like that? And I also contacted just recently the owner of the original twin tracks to try and see if he'd bring them to our show. And he's considering it. So I can't promise you anything. But anyway,
We're working on it.
possibility that the originals be there too. There's a possibility. So a while ago, I mentioned that if you want to see pictures of our show, you can go on our Vintage Snowmobile Facebook page. It's called Vintage Snowmobile Club of the Adirondacks, and there's a QR code on the poster. So you got all the snowmobiles that were there, so there's that, and then you can also. You can go and see the pictures, but at the same time, on the QR code, my nephew Matthew made a video of the show last year, and you can go visualize that on the QR code. I said barcode a while ago, but it's actually a QR code. Also on our vintage, on our Facebook page, our vintage Ormstown, the Vintage Snowmobile Club of the Adirondacks Facebook page, you have the video that was made by Matthew. It's a YouTube video. If you go back, Mike,
Sure.
The picture to your right where it says VSCADK, that's Vintage Snowmobile Club of the Adirondacks, because it's both American and Canadian. That actually is our T-shirt for this year. And I thought that I wanted something. I always like something racy, and I love the picture of Herb Yancey on his 1975 Arctic Cat, and that is, well, actually, we used Herb's picture to come up with that graphic for our snowmobile T-shirt this year. So you could say that that's Herb Yancey on an Arctic.
Nice.
So I mean, I just love hearing about Herb, because I think it was 1975. He was at the Kawartha Cup in Peterborough, and he just wiped up that weekend. And I think he was using one of Ron Hall's snowmobiles, and was able to win everything that weekend. So that's part of it. And then I also sent you a form.
Yes.
So I'd like to show you that. It's called the Certificate of Registration for Personal Effects Taken Abroad. So if you have snowmobiles that are not registered in the United States and you have concerns about bringing them to our show in Canada, what you do is you stop off at U.S. Customs, and you can maybe take a picture of that on your phone and show it to U.S. Customs, because sometimes they're not really familiar with it. But anyway, they should have those forms. And you have them fill it out, and it is like proof of ownership. Proof of ownership not only when you come to Canada, but when you return back to the United States, because the customs officers might say, well, look, I mean, what tells me that you didn't purchase that snowmobile in Canada, and you're just bringing it back. But if you stop off at U.S. Customs before stopping off at Canada Customs, fill out that form. It's proof of ownership whenever you cross the border. So, I mean, I just want to mention that. Aside from that, I had mentioned that our show starts as early as Friday afternoon. People come Friday afternoon. They can camp out, and and even like on the Saturday morning, people arrive at 5:45, and we accept them. There's no issue. We also have a food truck. It's a smokehouse food truck. There's a restaurant not too far from here. They have a food truck. So it's all like smoked stuff. And then we have a microbrewery that comes with a little truck, and they have their microbrewery beer, and it's a good mix. And so that's basically it. Oh, by the way, last year we had Mike Trapp that came down to our show. He came from Wisconsin. And we had Joanna Villeneuve that showed up with Michel Gingras. Michel Gingras won the World Series in 1985, and he brought Joanna Villeneuve with him. So when I say unique, we have surprises all the time. And Joanna Villeneuve is such a beautiful person to speak to. She's a real lady, and she's a very well-spoken person in both languages. So that's it. I hope to see you guys. And I hear Ray, I hear Josh, and I say to myself, all these Canadians going down to your show, it'd be great if a lot of you Americans would come up, because you have some beautiful stuff as well, and we'd like to see it. And don't forget, Quebec is like the mecca of snowmobiling, and we have a lot of good vendors, and it's nice to get out and see different stuff. So, hey, you're more than welcome. Thank you very much.
For sure.
Once again.
Awesome.
That's good.
And I second that too. I mean, it's good for people, vintage snowmobile enthusiasts on both sides of the border, to get to know each other. We have so much in common.
Yeah.
That is so true, Mike. I mean, how many people have I met on the American side and have remained really good friends? I mean, Bruce Bourrivage is another example, Midge. Anyway, I'm gonna give something away, but Bruce came out to the event last year that involved the twin track, and I was deeply saddened when I found out that he had passed away. He's such a great guy, and it was such a great guy, and again, it was hard to take. So,
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. The knowledge that Bruce had of just about everything to do with snowmobile racing is gone.
It's gone. Yeah.
Great mind.
A good mechanic, a good technician.
And a good mechanic.
And he gave us tips. He gave us tips at the racetrack, and it was just absolutely awesome. Yeah.
We may be getting his sled for the museum too, Mike, by the way.
Oh, good.
Yeah. George Gordon, Bruce had given his race sled to George's son, Mike. And Mike is mentioning something about maybe letting the museum display it on loan.
Nice.
So
now, when Midge says the museum, this is the museum he's talking about, Crane's Snowmobile Museum in Lancaster, New Hampshire, 172 Main Street.
And that sled that Bruce that donating, that was Bruce's, he won the Lancaster Grand Prix in 1975. Well, that sled, he actually beat Herb Yancey. Herb's hood came loose, and they black flagged him. They were afraid the hood was going to fly off in front of somebody behind him. And Bruce happened to be running second with his 440 and ended up winning the race.
Well, he brought it last winter to the racetrack.
That's the sled that he brought to you guys, yeah.
And we had a hell of a time.
Yeah.
And
it's a heartbreaker. It really is.
Yeah, it is.
Now we've got some comments that have come in. Go ahead.
The work that he did for the Hall of Fame too. I mean,
I'm sure
that
it was immeasurable.
I'm sure
immeasurable.
You guys are going to miss him.
Yeah.
For many people, he was the face and voice of the Hall of Fame, because he did all of the background work, all the phone calls and letters, and staying in touch with people, inviting people. Yeah, he was in a lot of. He was immeasurable.
Yeah. He was. It was crazy how good he was with that.
Now, I've got some comments that have come in. Ben says the Ormstown show is on his bucket list of shows. Always hear so many good things about your show, Dan. So that's a nice compliment right there.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then Steve Matthews says, I was there when Jill took the Eagle River World Championship in '74. I was the Alouette factory service manager for the 5-state distributor out of Minneapolis. Also sat in the twin track. We sat in the twin track that you just showed, and knew Jill well for about 2 years.
Oh, great.
Very cool.
So I have a question. I have a question for Steve, or maybe a comment. Pierre Rouet is still alive, by the way, and Pierre was the engineer in charge of the whole race program. So I mean, I don't know if he remembers Pierre Rouet. Guy here passed away about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but Pierre's still alive.
Yeah, Steve, please respond to that if you remember these people. Also, Steve is saying, I raced for Bombardier out of Lancaster, New Hampshire with Bob Fortin in the late 60s, and had a 2-digit bib in the Western USSA division for a couple of years in the early 70s.
Cool, very
outstanding.
Cool.
So very possible that Steve knew them.
Yeah, very cool.
And I'll monitor the comments here to see if he replies. And the clock is ticking, Steve, because we're about to wind this down. But please, if you have any response to what Dan was just saying, please get back to us on that as quickly as you can in the comments here, and we'll put that up on the screen. And while we're waiting on that, I just want to comment one last time on the events that I'm talking about for some friends. Reese Fleury sent this graphic. Tupper Lake Snowmobile Club is having a snowmobile show and swap, vintage snowmobile show and swap, Saturday, September 21st at 8 a.m. Again, that's on 121 Park Street, Tupper Lake, New York. Details there in the graphic, and at the very bottom there is a phone number. So if you're curious about that, give them a call, and they'll be able to answer any questions that you have. Also, a mutual friend of most of us here is Mike Mahar. He's got an event going on in Duluth, Minnesota, and that is coming right up here, August 2nd through the 4th. That's the National Championship Show and Swap, Duluth, Minnesota. There's a web address there at the bottom of the screen. I'll read it to you, 2024nationalshow.com. There's also a phone number, so if you're curious about this, give a call, 218-259-9825. And we thank you for patronizing all of these events that we've been talking about tonight. I'm not seeing any more comments from Steve. We're going to be winding it down here. Steve, if you have a comment to make, please make it as quickly as you can, because we're going to wind down here in just a minute or two. In that minute or two we have left, let's go around the room here, so to speak. And any final comments from anyone about what we've been doing tonight, talking about?
Yeah, I'd love to make one, Mike, and just to back up Midge and Dan and everybody with you. Great job for helping everybody. And I think this is a testament when you look at all of us, what a family it is. I know so many of the guys that Midge mentioned earlier because I grew up in Lancaster. I got to see all these races. The only part that was terrible for me, I wasn't old enough to participate. I wish I'd been old enough and could have participated in, because Lancaster was a hopping place in this country.
Sure.
Back in the day when we had the races there. It was Snowmobile City, USA, it was dubbed.
Ray, it's never too late, Ray.
What's that?
It's never too late.
I know. Well, I did race for a while. Midge used to work on my sled.
Yeah, 250 TX.
Yeah, we used to do pretty good with that sled.
That was a hot little sled, Ray.
That was a hot little sled. We had a lot of fun on it. We won a lot of races, and it was all barnyard races, but we had a lot of fun. It was just so much fun, but being able to see these guys. I remember seeing Herb Yancey and Jill Villeneuve and Bob Fortin and Bob Martin and Bruce Beravage and all these guys. It's just amazing to see that. So all these names you guys mentioned, I know probably 95% of them, and have watched them in Lancaster. What's that?
Yeah, Bob Fortin, Bob Martin, Tim White, and Mike Beatty. They all hung out at my uncle's golf station.
Yep.
And you did.
Oh yeah. I remember the days. A lot of fun. And Mike, we couldn't do this without you, Mike. And really, really just want to reiterate what everybody said. It's just a testament to this Vintage Snowmobile Club. Everything that's going on, that is a family, and everybody's trying to help each other. It's not a competition with anybody. It's everybody's trying to help each other. It's
Instead
great.
of hanging out in a greasy old golf station office, we're hanging out with Mike now online.
Yes, exactly.
There you go. Look at us. We can see each other, and we're not even in the same room.
It's true. It's become a community, and I'm happy to do what I can to make that community, to put the wind in the sail of that community, if you will, and be a place where we can all gather. And I appreciate the compliment from all of you, really.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Very much so.
Sure. And then we've got the comments come in here. Oh, here we go. We've got all right, here we go. Our good friend Ben from Vintage Mini Bike Lovers says, great show this evening. It was nice to see the upcoming events and hear the stories that were shared about the past. Also, I have to give a quick shout out to Ben and his Vintage Mini Bike Lovers Facebook page and podcast. We've been doing podcasts. We've done 2 so far. We've got another one scheduled for August 11th. If you're right here where you're watching this on a Sunday night, August 11th. So if you remember, if you have fond memories of those mini bikes from the 60s and 70s, you do not want to miss that. Ben is the host. I produce it. I do all of the behind the scenes things, and we have a whole lot of fun. And we do have comments here from Steve Matthew. We've got 3 comments. I've got a lot of good stories from the early years of the industry because I was raised in the industry. And then he also says, I just found this site a few minutes ago. When do you air again? And thank you for finding this. We'd love to have you on as a guest sometime. If you have images, video clips, memorabilia, anything like that, sleds, trophies, love to have you on to do some show and tell on all of that. We air every we go 2 nights a week. We have a live podcast every Thursday night at 9 p.m. during the winter months, October through March, and then we air replays during the summer months. This is just a unique thing we're doing tonight as a way to promote late summer and autumn vintage snowmobile events. But I also do some vintage snowmobile programming every Sunday night at 8 p.m., which is what you're looking at now. Tonight we happen to be live. Usually it's pre-recorded, but we're glad that you stumbled onto us, and I hope you will keep us on your radar, because we've got a whole lot of things that you might enjoy looking at. Once this is finished, go to this page and look at the videos. There's just hundreds of videos there for you to enjoy, all about vintage snowmobiling. And he's got one other comment. He says, my dad was Paul Matthew and started the first Project X in Valcourt.
Wow, cool. Very cool.
Outstanding. And if you've got images, stories, details, artifacts about any of that, we would love to have you on when we start up the Vintage Snowmobile podcast again in October. Love to have you on some night. You can hang out with us just like we are here, and we can pop pictures on the screen and talk about them and relive memories. And just, again, we were talking about this community. This is a place where this community hangs out and talks about such things, and we have a wonderful time. Very similar to what Midge was saying. It's like instead of hanging out in Dick Monahan's golf station, we're hanging out online. It's almost as fun.
Yeah.
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 Can I just mention something?
It's a new thing. It's where everybody is.
For sure. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I just want to ask Steve. I mean, I'm always interested in the history of the different factories, especially Alouette, because I knew Morley Smith. I know Pierre Ouette, Jacques Villeneuve, and a few others. If you get a chance on the poster, well, I can give it to you now. My number is 514-914-8906. I'd love to speak to you. So
definitely. And I'm trying to find that poster that has that number on it. Where was that? Oh, right here, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, at the bottom of that on the right there. Is that the same number? 514-914-8906. 8906. There's an email address there too.
Well, yeah, you can also do that, but someone else takes care of the emails. Yeah,
sure.
Cool.
And you can also search on Facebook for Dan Beauchamp.
Yeah.
And again, this is I love if I can contribute anything to the vintage snowmobile community in this way. I love doing that. It's a way for us all to get to know each other and hang out, share information, share experiences, and just have fun together.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And that's the thing I like about this is we stumble onto a little gem like this. We're just talking about these events, and then we stumble onto a little gem like this, and it takes the podcast to a whole other level. Yeah,
the history of snowmobiling is just phenomenal too. I mean,
it is,
and on both sides of the border, on both sides. I mean, I'm a Skidoo guy, but I went to the 60th anniversary, the Arctic Cat 60th anniversary, and I had a great time.
Nice.
Dan, I don't know if you know this or not, but Lancaster, New Hampshire was the first town in the United States to see the Bombardier Skidoo.
Yeah. That Mr. Crane had mentioned that to me.
Yeah.
And you might see me. At the induction in September.
Oh, I hope you do. I hope you do.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
I think I'll convince one of my buddies, Robert Button. I think we'll go.
Bring a couple sleds down with you, and that'd be great.
Go make a weekend of it. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And Bud is still hanging out with us. Bud Gordon is still hanging out with us. If you can hear us, Bud, I know we don't have video on Bud, but did you have any closing comments, Bud, before we wrap it up?
Nope. The only thing I really want to do is reiterate. Thank you, Mike, for all you've been doing for this hobby with the podcasts and coming to the shows and taking the pictures and videos. Really appreciate it. Midge, I hope I can make it to the Hall of Fame induction this year.
You better, Bud.
One.
You better.
It always seems to be conflicting with something. It looks like I've got that date open. If it is, I will come up.
Okay. I'd be glad to see you, Bud.
And
hopefully we'll see you this winter on the trail
this year too.
Yeah.
Dan, hopefully I can run into you at the Hall of Fame in Lancaster.
Hopefully, and you're always welcome to come to Ormstown too.
I'd love to. I'd love to. I'm going to have to. It's the day before my wife's birthday, so it's very unlikely that that's going to happen. So,
Okay.
Sure.
but I'll check it out and see if I can do something, get up there and make it. But I'd
Sounds
love
good.
to see it. I'd love to see it. Love to
Nice.
participate, but I definitely want to come up and check it out at some point.
Well, by the way, I'm just going to say this. It's my last year organizing the show.
Oh,
I've been at it for close to 15 years now, and
Yeah.
I'm
15. You're just getting started.
Yeah, but I got so much on my plate, and I'm going to pass the torch on to my nephew. So, and yeah, I'll still be
At least
around,
the show's going on.
but someone else will be taking care of it next year.
Good. That's good.
Sure. And then we've got a few more comments from Steve Matthew that have come in. He says, speaking to Dan, he says, cool, I'll figure out how to hook up with you and I'll get back to you.
Sounds good.
And then he says, I went to something there. My dad started with Timberland Machines. Oh, he says high school in Lancaster, Valcourt, and San Jose. Cool.
I
So
think he
sounds
was
like
in
he's,
the same class as my brother Michael.
wow, yeah.
I think so.
Small world.
Yeah.
Oh, and he says mostly Bombardier, but closed the doors at Alouette.
Wow. Yeah.
Outstanding. Well, as always, this is a wonderful time when we get together. It always takes on a life of its own. It goes longer than we anticipated, but that's a wonderful thing. It means we're having fun. And I wanted to thank all of our guests who are on tonight. I also thank all of the viewers. And I hope you've seen something on here tonight that captured your interest that you'd like to go partake of this fall. And hopefully we'll see you there because I'm planning to go to some of these events and hopefully run into you. And if you see any of us there, please say hello and mention that you saw us on the podcast.
Well, somebody just
Absolutely.
came into the pump, so I got to go out and pump some gas. So
Cool. All right. Well, yes. Have a good evening, everyone. And looking forward to catching everyone when we take up the podcast again in October.
Guys, take
First
care.
Thursday in October. Have a good
That's
evening,
great.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Great, guys. Thank you.
see you guys.
See you later.